everyone, it's Raina. So this video is going to be for the full moon in Aries, which is happening on October 20th. And the reason I'm doing this is because I did a full moon in Aries video that was astrology based. And I had a lot of fun doing that. I used to do that more often. And I kind of got out of the habit of doing it. And sometimes I would do card readings for new moons and full moons. And there's something about this one, this blood full moon in Aries, that is really calling to me. And it could be a turning point in 2021 for this year. And also, maybe even for the sake of humanity. Who knows? I know that sounds pretty dramatic, but you never know. Because, like I said in the astrology video, some of us who are older than, I don't know what I said in that video, but I would say older than 40, but maybe even older than 30. I mean, you know how your life has been. You've had some ups and downs, and just in terms of the collective, but this takes it to a whole new level, doesn't it? What's going on, regardless of your feelings on it, it just is extra. So I've separated these cards here, and I'm going to have 3 rows, and I'm hoping that given this setup that I have here, that you can see all 3 rows. So, and there'll be 3 cards in each row, 9 cards altogether. The first row that I lay out will be the situation as it is right now, and then maybe some cosmic lessons, and then outcome, or what happens after this situation. And this time frame doesn't have to be exactly on the 20th. I think they say that the full and new moons are potent for 3 days afterwards, and sometimes they'll say from that full moon to the next new moon is then it starts a whole new cycle, and yada yada, that kind of thing. So whatever resonates with you. I'm going to, and then some people say from this full moon to the one in November, which is going to be a lunar eclipse. So I'm going to say that for the next month. All right. And so the center cards are going to be what is happening right now. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to show all these cards. I still have this issue to iron out, I guess. I'm going to take this card out here. Whoa, this is pretty wild thus far. And I'll tell you why I think it's wild. Pick one last card. Okay. I got the Temperance card. I'll hold up those bottom row cards. Still getting this together. What I've got going on here. Okay. So I'm just, talking about the cards surrounding the full moon. The reason I was reacting is all of them, to me, are almost like financial in nature. I mean, the 4 of Pentacles is about holding onto your money, but also sound money management. We have the Empress, which is connected to the planet Venus, and that, that rules Libra, which the sun is going to be in at this full moon, as well as Taurus, the ruler of the second house of earned income, and where Uranus is. Now, what we have been seeing with the developments of Uranus in Taurus is a real migration to what we call the cashless society. There's another term like electronic payments and things like that. Of course, that's been going on before 3 years ago or whenever Uranus went into Taurus. I mean, debit cards have been around for years, and we've had online payments and things like that. But what I have noticed is a quickening in this regard, and businesses that will not accept cash. And when we had the shutdown and all the what businesses called their precautions, they were saying we don't want we're going to be cashless while this is going on. They wanted contactless or very low contact, so they were only accepting cards, coin shortages. I just saw a sign a couple of weeks ago about some coin shortage again, which had become a thing at the beginning of the shutdown. So back in March and the early parts in 2020, that was happening. Now, the problem with that is that if you only have one method, it's very easy for outer forces to control that, and that can be very dangerous. It's like if you have all your money in the bank and you have no cash on hand, it doesn't matter if there's a sign that says FDIC, they can still do it, and you still don't have your money. So the point is that there have been things already happening in this regard, and so I think that is something that we've been experiencing along with Pluto and Capricorn being all of the systems, including the banking system, everything that is a structure in our society being radically overhauled. And so when I see these three cards and I look at the Four of Pentacles and the person is hugging their money, that can indicate that I'm not going to say that it seems like positive to me, because to me, the Four of Pentacles is having financial security. Now, at the time of this full moon, I don't see anything astrologically that supports something. Of course, I'm in the United States, and I'm not looking at the chart of the United States. I'm not a mundane astrologer, so that's not my specialty. So maybe there is something else going on that that mundane astrologers have discussed on this issue. I'm just looking at it from the tarot point of view, and it doesn't matter which order I do these cards, but I just wanted to also point out here the Magician card. This is a card, this is not the first card in the Major Arcana. As many of you know, the Fool card is 0, but this is number 1. It is connected to Aries, and Aries is the first house. When we see the number 1, even if you are not that well-versed in numerology, you can kind of figure that it has to do with the self, because, there's that saying, looking out for number 1 and things like that. And it kind of indicates independence. In this case, to me, the Magician is resourceful and is independent, and I would say creative, and using what you have available to achieve your results. And the Magician, I've said this before, that I didn't like the concept of magic because I didn't know why. When I was a kid, I liked magic tricks, but when it was something that was associated with spirituality, I didn't like it because it seemed like random. It seemed kind of convoluted. I didn't understand. And the more that I read about it, and I don't like the idea of like doing spells and things like that. But the more I understood it, the more I could see the practical side to it. And I could see that magic was simply believing that you have some power over your own life. That's how I translate it. And that it's like you set things into motion. And I really liked that version of it. And this card certainly supports something to that effect. But we also have the Empress, which is a card of creativity, a card of fertility. So this is associated with motherhood, pregnancy, a card of abundance. Number 3 is a number of abundance. And, there's that Venus symbol, if you can see it, and with the heart. So the point being is that I feel like with these cards is that this time of the full moon in Aries, I think that for those people who are very conscious, that you can do things or maybe come up with ideas that are going to have a positive effect on the material level, or that you are already celebrating those things. And we are seeing people getting a lot more like the magician. This has been going on for several years now, where they are, either by circumstance, when Pluto went into Capricorn, in the United States, we had a major economic downturn. And there were a lot of people who lost their jobs, and, businesses folded and things like that. And I think it was a numerologist that I saw who gave a lecture, was saying that this is going to be something that people, they start their own businesses, and that these kinds of things are leading to that kind of, so I would call it like the magician, where you're taking the initiative to do these things for yourself. And there's like a resourcefulness about that. And I did see that that was coming to pass when I would see, like, go to a cafe and see a bulletin board, and there were all these people offering their services. Because of the internet, because of, we have the technology that we have, it's a lot easier to do things like that. So right now there's, talk about that, about people that are quitting their jobs, that are not for, there can be maybe in some cases they're doing so under duress. They don't want to, but they feel that they have a good reason to do it, that they're not going to take it anymore. And as I mentioned in the astrology portion of this, there is that kind of a heightened effect where people are getting very brave and doing daring things. And all of those cards seem very positive for financial affairs. I don't know exactly how that's going to play out, because to me, this is really about a spiritual awakening. What I'm waiting for is like people to wake up and see what is around them. And this is speaking of something that is much more, to me, on the material level, and the security, like the first chakra and things like that, which is fine, because there are a lot of people who are concerned about just, survival issues, like, are there going to be shortages and things like that. But this is These are cards of abundance. Okay, so I don't know if that will manifest for you personally, but that's what I see. Now I have the 3 spiritual or cosmic lessons about this full moon and what we can gain. And here we have another, I'll just do that one first. Ace of Pentacles, a windfall, financial windfall. That can change your life. You see that portal, that doorway. I wish for everybody that this happens for you. I can't, I can't promise it, but certainly there may be something, who knows what is coming down the pike. And maybe it isn't something that is going to manifest at the time of this full moon, but there has been talk about more a universal system. And of course, Uranus and Taurus, Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, so it does tend to suggest that we are going to have something that benefits the masses instead of just the few. So maybe this is when certain things are coming out, and that is going to lead to that, because all this stuff, people who are waiting for disclosure and all of this, and there's certain subject matters that they're very concerned about, that they want public awareness of, and they want the outing of the people who are behind this. I understand that, but there tends to be the same subjects that people are interested in. And one of the areas that we should all be interested in is the financial system, because that is one that has been abused for many years and has kept people enslaved, in a sense, in terms of their ability to live in a way that is just, the basic, the bare minimum of comfort. And, some people have been able to live a middle-class lifestyle, but some people have not. And then there's other things that go along with that keep people ensnared in a very heavily controlled system. So we'll see if that is going to be for the collective. But in any way, you can call it in for yourself. And the other thing too is, that's interesting, because what just came into my mind was New Earth. So Pentacles relate to the earth element, and the ace is the new, like the beginning stage of something. So it could be something on a massive scale. And we have here the 3 of Cups. So I had the Empress, which is number 3, and now I have this. And it's a very lighthearted social card, a card of celebration. So there was something else. Now, I really was expecting kind of heavy cards, but I'm getting some really grounded cards, and I'm getting some cards that speak of kind of a levity. And then I have here the Queen of Cups. So the 3 of Cups is more of like a social, celebratory kind of an energy, and the Queen of Cups is, again, it's funny that it's also connected to maternal issues, influences, and it makes me wonder, why are we birthing something here? It's also a highly psychic card, the Queen of Cups. So it could be speaking about, and creative too. So it can be speaking about connecting with others in almost like a psychic, telepathic kind of a way, but from a heart-centered way too, not just like the intellect, but from a heart-centered perspective. And it's like this idea that we're all one. So with the 3 of Cups, how if your sports team wins and you might be celebrating in the middle of the bar or whatever where you're watching it, it spills out into the street and people are just jumping up and down, and they may be hugging strangers. It's that kind of energy where it's just like you're celebrating some good news. And it's like it connects you to others. So the Queen of Cups, it's connecting you psychically, and there's a nurturing aspect to it. And the Three of Cups is just like pure joy. Now, what is very interesting is when I got the outcome, or what is going to be the aftermath, I did get a couple of swords cards that are pretty, what we associate with. It's kind of more, I don't know if you say heavy, but more on the like conflict and strife arena, So one of them is the Five of Swords. This is a card of slander. You could say like realizing that something that you believed in was a lie. What came into my mind was fake news, but propaganda. The number 5 is connected to Mercury, and the swords are connected to communication. And they're, it's interesting too, because with Neptune in its own sign of Pisces, there has been so much deception that has been perpetuated, not just this year, but for years now. And some people, I think, and this is part of the thing that was already kind of predicted by people who can call themselves psychics or whatever they call themselves, where they said things like, there are going to be people who they've been believing this stuff, and it's going to be very hard for them to hear the truth. And, maybe, there's those 7 stages of healing or whatever they call it. And one of them is denial or something, or grief, the 7 stages of grief. One of them is denial, because people, they just had this other view of what things were going to be. So if you're one of those people that consider yourselves awakened, or that at least you're on that road, what this to me is saying is stay above the fray. Don't allow other people's cognitive dissonance or Stockholm syndrome to get to you, and that could even be gaslighting. And some people, they are disinfo agents, but some people are just so brainwashed that they have come to really believe these things wholeheartedly. And if you tell them, they are going to reject it out of hand if they know how you are. If they already know that you have certain beliefs, they're probably not going to believe you, and their ego is probably behind it to a large extent, whether they know it or not, that that you proved them wrong, and all of that. But also the confusion that they have. So we have to have compassion for people that are not operating from the same state of consciousness that I might be or you might be. And I know that sounds kind of arrogant, but you know what I mean. The people that are really in the dark. And most people that are, consider themselves on the spiritual path will have awareness, at least partial awareness. But even some of them you may have been having differences with. We've got here the Nine of Pentacles. Now here's another interesting thing about this. Just like with the Four of Pentacles, there is this like independence, like financial independence, having the money, having the wherewithal to kind of enjoy your the fruits of your labor, the things in your life that ground you and make you feel like you are comfortable. Okay, so this is a very practical energy, but it's also the number 9 is suggesting this sense of maybe being alone or in your own world that could include the natural world. So enjoying nature, enjoying, this is kind of like this being at home. So I don't see, like, the five of swords. Yes, it could be something where there is deception. I don't see like a lot of explosive energy with these cards. So who knows if this is going to tell the whole picture. I would never just put all my faith in one tarot reading I did on the spur of the moment. But it does, pretty much make me think it's going to be a lot more mellow than I imagine it might be, with the full moon being in Aries of all signs. So we'll see, won't we? It's coming up in a matter of days. I'm recording this on the 15th of October, and it's happening in 5 days from now. So then we have the 10 of Swords. So this is the card of betrayal, and this is but it's also the card of the end of, it's like when you say the hitting bottom, so to speak. And so I do believe that when we talk about disclosure, we talk about all of these things about things heating up, that does go along with that, because the 10 is the end of the cycle. And it doesn't mean that everything is smooth sailing after that, but what it means is that once you hit that bottom, with however that transpires, it's only up from there. So it's like I had said in the astrology portion, you have to lance the boil. The boil is kind of like that, the bubble, the full moon, and it has to be, it's like coming to a head. And once you lance it, even though it's very gross, distasteful, you might still have a wound there, but it's going to heal faster because you don't have that pressure building anymore. So with all that pus, well, I hope you're not eating, but that's kind of what that Plutonian energy is, that kind of like decaying, matter, that the stuff that we need to detoxify from. So here I got 2 swords cards that are connected with kind of like strife, betrayal, slander, like false lies, things behind the scenes. And then it's in the middle of it is the 9 of Pentacles. So this to me is like New Earth, that 9 of Pentacles, because it's not about sticking your head in the sand. It's about you living in 5D, and it's like you don't have to be in that drama. And that's wonderful. So this has been a very interesting reading, but I did pick an additional card just because I don't like to end with the 10 of Swords. Call me superstitious, it doesn't matter. So I did pick a clarification card, and I got the Temperance card. Now this card is connected to Sagittarius, and we do have a solar eclipse in Sagittarius in December. This could be a timing card of when things start to move forward. It is a solar eclipse, so it's a powerful new moon. Another thing that for the United States specifically is that the United States is a country that is ruled by, the sun sign of the United States is Cancer, but I think it's Sagittarius rising, and that would make perfect sense if it is, because that means that the United States has Jupiter as its ruler, and there's always like this over-the-top quality of the United States, supersized, supersize me. More is better, right? And of course, there's that wasteful there's that excessive quality that certainly in the United States is. But I don't know if it's the moon or the rising sign. I think it's the rising. Now, if that's the case, there might be, I don't know what the degree of rising is in the United States, but I mean, it might correspond to this solar eclipse. I think it's like 12 degrees of Sag in December. But in any case, the Temperance card is about balance between the spiritual and the material. And so I've been, talking about some of these material cards, but then we have a card like the Queen of Cups. That's a spiritual card. And the Temperance being connected to Sag, that's spiritual because Sag is the sage, is the ruler of the ninth house, is the God house, and it deals with philosophical matters, can be of a spiritual nature. But the point is that when we're coming from a place where we're not too ungrounded into the higher dimensions, that we're not like paying attention to what's right under our nose, we can meet with challenges. And there are certainly people who are highly psychic and they are very ungrounded. But likewise, the people that are too immersed in the physical, and then they can't see beyond anything of this world. And that in both of these extremes creates actions that are extreme and imbalanced. And we're looking for that balance. And what I love is that center row right here. This is what I drew for the full moon period. And all of these cards are really about establishing yourself and, declaring your sovereignty. That's what the Magician to me is ultimately about. But also on the material level too. It's not just, okay, I'm this spiritual being having a human experience, but I'm kind of up in the ether and I'm not really grounded and I can't do the things of this world. Because, if you're doing them from a spiritual perspective, then you're going to be able to have the best of both worlds. And to me, that's the greatest thing you can do, because we are here. We're on this material plane. But let's have an upgrade, right? Let's upgrade to 5D. Okay, that's what I have for you. I hope that you enjoyed this. Have a great full moon in Aries. God bless. Bye.